Hello everyone, this is Krodak giving you a shoutcast in a game between Eclipse versus ShimYeYong here on Terenas stand. Now the first thing I have to say already is that there are no observers in this particular matchup, so I actually have to use the replay vision of one of the players and also turn off Fog of War. Unfortunately, that is the case. There's no way around that, as Warcraft 3 doesn't have some of the utilities that StarCraft 2 has. We are seeing what the Undead player is spawning here as he's really orange, but it shows up as red since I am in the vision. Meanwhile, we have Eclipse spawning as the pink, who does show up on white on the minimap since I am using his vision as well. We should be seeing the Altar of Kings. There's that barracks here, and then a subsequent farm. So a pretty much standard build order here on Terenas stand. And Terenas stand, one of those classic maps that not much has really changed between this map. There hasn't really been any balance issues. A lot of players like this map just because of the rather larger spawning distances between the players, and also the ability to be able to do a lot of creeping. Terenas stand does normally have a lot of creeping, and with an a paladin first. Okay, this is not your typical build. I would have normally suspected an archmage, but it is going to be a paladin versus a death knight. So this is one of those classic Warcraft 3 battles. Who will come out on top? A death knight versus a paladin here on Terenas stand. Now, one of the issues with a paladin first, or one of the benefits of paladin first, is that paladins do have an instantaneous heal as opposed to death coil. Death coil is a missile heal, so if you see if your micro is really that good, it is possible to try to holy light a unit the moment before it gets death coiled in order to try to take it down, and then both the death coil is completely wasted as it misses its target, and you also burn 75 mana off of that Death Knight. Back over here, the Acolyte is in play as you hear the Paladin now coming in. Most likely the Paladin is going to be training Holy Light there as this one Acolyte now taking a little bit of damage. Militia now being called over in order to take down the Renegade Wizard. Is just going to be completely surrounded here, and now a lot of damage being dealt. One Militia going after the Acolyte, trying to get as much damage as possible. Militia are going to be able to deal a lot of damage towards that one particular Renegade Wizard, as it does have normal armor and it does take additional damage. So that one Paladin already having the Circlet of Nobility, and now in comes the Death Knight. The Death Knight does have a Rod of Necromancy, quickly death coiling his own Acolyte to try to save him, and now the Death Knight looking to deal some damage here. The Militia are going to be in a little bit of a problem there. Are we going to perhaps get a Holy Light? There it is. There's that Holy Light, saving that one low hit point peasant. Peasant now hiding behind the altar, and getting a very early surround there, and ShimYeYong just completely messing that up and wasting a very early scroll of Town Portal. Now, there is discussion whether or not he should have tried to just let his Death Knight die. And although a Death Knight only costs, I believe, 170 gold in order to resurrect at level 1, and it resurrects rather quickly, you do not want to give experience to your opponent. So that is the other aspect of that game, as we are now going to get a lot more Militia and Footmen now trying to come into this location here. We may get a Troll Shadow Priest coming in as well. You can see how much damage is being dealt. Level 2 on the Paladin. It looks like it is not going to be Devotion Aura, but instead Divine Shield, based upon what I'm seeing so far. As more and more damage is being dealt, the Acolyte may try to pick up some of his own creeps, as well as another item, a Potion of Greater Healing picked up. So that is the perfect item there, as now we are going to be getting some more units. Troll Shadow Priest is in play, and now the Death Knight now trying to get some additional damage, but not really able to at all, as all of those peasants are now going to make their way perhaps to the north and try to speed build another Town Hall. We are still at Town Hall here, so these peasants may be able to get in a lot of additional damage, as now the Troll Shadow Priest is now going to take a lot of damage there, and now using Abolish Magic, down goes some of those units, and now the Death Knight finally getting some points of damage, and now continuing to make their way off to the north as the peasants as the peasants are now making their way in. So the Paladin is in play. The peasants trying to deal some damage, but this is going to be a problem. Level 3 on the Paladin, so we should be able to get even better Holy Lights off, and now trying to heal up even more of that damage there, as those skeletal minions just running around along the backside. A Renegade Wizard gonna fall, as well as both sides just getting as much damage as possible, and now it looks like a peasant is gonna get taken down. No Holy Light in time at all, and now the Death Knight getting a lot of damage onto those units, but the Death Knight is going to fall. Down it goes at level 1, And now it looks like those skeletal minions are going to be able to hit down a couple more of those peasants. The peasants now looking to try to get some holy. Are we going to get a holy light on another peasant? No, not in time. Not quite sure why the paladin is actually letting his units die like that. That is not what you want to see happening. And this is almost a little bit of sloppy gameplay. But this game was recommended, so very rarely do I ever see a paladin first as a hero. So that in and of itself does make this game a little bit more interesting to watch. We are not yet teching the tier 2. We are getting a lumber mill, so it is going to be a very early scout tower and then expansion over here to the north. It looks like the paladin quickly picking up some items, or not quite sure what he was doing there. Is he going to try to pick up some of these items there? He does have that divine shield, but that divine shield is not going to last for very much longer. He does need to escape as the Death Knight finally able to begin some creeping, and if he tries to get some damage onto perhaps some of those units, and now I'm getting a holy light onto the Death Knight, being forced to back off as the Death Knight does take some damage from that holy light, but that holy light only does, I believe, 200 damage normally, and then on top of that the hero armor reduces it even further as heroes naturally have magic resistance. We do see that there are some now guard towers being upgraded here. Peasants still standing nearby, getting ready as the paladin looking to get some more damage onto these units over here, perhaps taking down a ziggurat. If he does take down that ziggurat, he'll be able to come in and start getting some damage onto these units there. So coming in, one-shot kill, taking down an acolyte while the Black Citadel is currently being upgraded. Unable to train any additional acolytes during that time, so he will lose a significant amount of gold as the paladin still sneaking around and now returning back here. We are now speed building a town hall. The paladin purposely staying nearby to put pressure on the Death Knight and make sure that the Death Knight is unable to deal any damage back over here. The town hall, however, going to be completed in just a moment, as it is being sped built, as the Death Knight now continuing to run around the map and try to avoid this one particular paladin. Another guard tower has finished being upgraded already as the another divine shield being activated by the paladin, making sure to not take any damage as he doesn't want to get slowed down by that Nerubian tower, and now being forced to pull back once more. We do have some footmen over here and a troll berserker as we should be upgrading to tier 2, but it looks like Eclipse perhaps going for the strategy of Sky, where he just sits off of 2 bases, gets a very, very large amount of money while staying in no upkeep, and then explodes into knights and griffins. That is a very common strategy indeed. The footmen, however, now taking a lot of damage from the piercing of those crypt fiends, and now it looks like that Sasquatch is going to get taken down, but the Death Knight does get that experience, not the paladin, unable to steal it. And now continuing to pull back and forth. It looks as though those skeletal minions once again trying to give chase, and that one footman down to 114 hit points perhaps should get a heal very, very quickly. Dust of Appearance revealing a sentry ward, and now that sentry ward will get taken down there. So very, very nice nice micro or nice game presence there, realizing that the sentry ward was in play. And did he use a potion of lesser invulnerability? No, he used a divine shield, and he is currently being detected, and now he's going to try to get some more damage onto some of those other units there, as this particular set of towers will have an arcane vault in just a moment. But I do not believe that Eclipse is doing a good enough job to slow down the creeping of the Death Knight so far. We should be perhaps getting another hero out in just a moment. It looks like it is still only the Death Knight so far at this stage, and it will be level 3. No, it is going to be a Fire Lord. Okay, so this game is nowhere what I expect it to be, with the Fire Lord now coming in. The Fire Lord should really benefit from the Obsidian statue. The Obsidian statue is essentially a medevac and essentially it's a medevac and a mana battery all at the same time, able to heal up multiple units, and it is also able to give mana to additional heroes nearby. So the Death Knight and the Fire Lord are both going to have a large amount of mana to be able to just cast very, very quickly. But the economic advantage definitely in favor of Eclipse, as Eclipse is now sitting on 400 gold and continuing to get higher and higher, and also taking the tier 2 and also getting the masonry upgrades as well. There is currently also one goblin shredder wandering around. The goblin shredder getting a lot of lumber very, very easily. The footmen, however, do not have defend, so they're not going to be able to do all too much, as the paladin now once again retreats. So another retreating Paladin there as level 2 finally on the Paladin. Paladin now perhaps going to get level 2 Divine Shield. So that is a 30-second invulnerability. And a level 2 Divine Shield, that Paladin should be able to do suicide runs very easily on the inside of the space if it wasn't for the fact that there are so many Nerubian towers and guard towers nearby. The Paladin, once again, trying to come in and, oh, nice ability. The Corruption ability coming in from ShimYeYong actually makes it impossible. It's like a silence ability that does not allow him to cast spells. So that is actually the perfect counter from that Fire Lord, and that Fire Lord also has an Orb of Corruption, able to reduce the armor of units by 5, and that is going to be a significant amount of damage to be had, as that Paladin needs to be very, very careful and now pull away. The Fire Lord looking to perhaps continue to creep out even further, getting that Renegade Wizard as well, as now a Goblin Zeppelin will be coming into play. And it looks like all of these Acolytes will be falling very, very quickly as soon as that cooldown is completed. That Fire Lord now sitting at level 2, Death Knight sitting at level 3. I do not see any additional heroes coming out for Eclipse yet, as that is going to be an issue, as now we are going to finally see this Paladin come in, getting some damage. There's a Holy Light, and now it looks like it is just going to try to deal damage towards this one particular gold mine here. But the problem is going to be the Fire Lord with Destructors, with Destroyers in the air, and now 2 Destroyers in the air, and they're going to be able to deal a lot of damage. Also of a Dark Ranger in the mix there as well. So it's going to be 3 heroes against the lone one, getting a lot of damage, and now using a Staff of Teleportation to try to get back into this fight. Here we go, and now getting a lot of damage. We do have some Arcane Towers and more Guard Towers coming in as well, but this is going to be a very difficult battle, as that Death Knight now taking a lot of damage from that Unholy Aura. There's also those Lava Spawns now coming out as well, getting in a lot of damage, but it looks like the Lava Spawns will not be able to split anytime soon. The Peasants need to be on auto repair, otherwise those towers are going to fall rather quickly. This is part of patch 126. So these towers do not have nearly as many hit points, only 50 additional hit points per masonry upgrade, and that is going to be a significant blow to those towers. The towers not nearly as effective, as the Mountain King now going to try to come into the rear, and ShimYeYong just making his opponent pay for having this expansion. A lot of experience will be given. The Fire Lord may even get to level 3. There's a very low hit point Crypt Fiend. No, sorry, a low hit point Destroyer, but the Destroyer doesn't have anything really to worry about, as it is an anti-magic unit, so the Mountain King unable to really do anything. A Mantle of Intelligence being left behind. Not quite sure where that was being left behind from. Another Corruption now being cast on that Mountain King, and this is still an issue. We are getting the Flying Machines. I am not sure if the flak cannons are now being researched as well, so that is essentially splash damage for those Flying Machines in order to shut down many more of those Destroyers. The Destroyer is doing a great job so far, and the Destroyer is also being healed up, and in comes the Flying Machines. The Flying Machines now trying to come in, trying to finish off those units there. The Death Knight now in a little bit of trouble. A Mountain King should be able to get off a Stormbolt onto it, as that Paladin wants to be able to get off another Holy Light as well. It does have enough. There's the Stormbolt. A Silence now being cast. So, wow. So both units, anti-hero units, to not allow the Mountain King and the Death Knight to really be able to cast anything at all, and down goes the level 3 Death Knight. So Paladin is in a bit of trouble. He already used his Potion of Greater Healing, and now with those Crypt Fiends casting or using the web ability, the Mountain King is now going to be having to just get a lot of damage in here, as well as the Paladin with that 30-second invulnerability getting in a lot of damage so far, and in comes a Stormbolt onto the Dark Ranger. Dark Ranger dangerously low on hit points as well. Is the Paladin going to be able to get a Holy Light off? It might be able to, able to get another Holy Light off, and it doesn't look like there's anything left in the air, so those Flying Machines not really doing anything at all, and now another hero getting taken down. So this game is going back and forth. The Fire Lord is in a bit of trouble now, trying to fight off against more and more units. We do see that the Paladin is in a bit of trouble as well, as he is taking some additional damage. Also, Corruption coming into play. More and more of those Crypt Fiends are casting more web abilities, as that Fire Lord just trying to stay in this, and with these Crypt Fiends trying to get as much damage as possible. Another Flying Machine is getting taken down as well, as the Fire Lord am going to just get more and more experience, and now trying to finally pull back. An Obsidian Statue may need to be converted, as well as I believe another low hit point, a low hit point knight able to barely escape. They do have some banshees. The banshees do not have possession yet, as these battles are just going very, very long. Another Crypt Fiend casting another web there, trying to get more and more damage. The Fire Lord just using his ability to be able to walk around and getting damage onto multiple units. The Fire Lord very lucky that he cannot get Holy Lighted, and the Mountain King essentially out of mana. We do also see that the one Banshee is going to get taken down very easily in just a second there, and yeah, it is going to get taken down, but there was a curse cast on to that one Mountain King, so the Mountain King is going to be dealing less damage by missing every so often. As this battle continues, more units are coming in. We do have a potion or a divine shield once again being used, so that is going to be 30 seconds of invulnerability once more. And now I'm not quite sure what that Fire Lord can really do. The Fire Lord really needs to get the heck out of there. He cannot stick into this fight for a very, very much longer. Fire Lord down to 91 hit points, and it looks like it will be backing off. No, he is not. He is trying to go after, and now a Staff of Sanctuary, and now in comes the Death Knight. The Death Knight may be able to come in and perhaps get some damage onto the Paladin. The Paladin is low on hit points. And so we have a main fight over here. The Fire Lord now will be able to escape, as that Paladin will not be able to do very much, as the Death Knight now perhaps looking to get some damage onto some of those knights and to some of the other units over here. And there we go. Finally, the Fire Lord has returned, and the Abominations are coming in as well. So it's going to be a Death Knight sitting at level 4 against a Paladin who's almost at level 5. The Knights are going to be able to deal a lot of damage very easily, but we do have burrowing Crypt Fiends. So those Crypt Fiends, as they burrow, are not going to be able to be hit, and they're just going to be able to continue to get a lot of damage continually. A lot of those peasants are also taking damage as well. Dust of Appearance is in play, and what is going to be happening, as I believe a low hit point Death Knight may just get Death Coiled in order to get even more. And now in comes another Corruption, but the Fire Lord is in a bit of trouble, finally using a Potion of Healing there. And now the Knights finally in trouble. They're finally also using another Potion of Healing after a Death Knight was able to cast another Death Coil onto those units, but unable to really destroy any units so far. We do see that the Destroyers are in the air. It looks like these peasants will get taken down, and perhaps this Town Hall will finally get taken down as well. We do see a lot of the bases are pretty much cleared and opened up. The main gold mines are now starting to run low on gold. About enough for about 3 minutes or 4 more minutes of play. The flying machine's going straight after the destroyers. There are 1 destroyers left in the air. The Paladin now getting even more damage and keeping up his knights up as long as possible. The Paladin should have perhaps tried to use another Staff of Sanctuary to save those units. Death Coil on the Abomination. Both sides trying to stick into this game as long as they possibly can. Crypt Fiends also joining in, and the Goblin Shredder coming in as well. The Mountain King, dangerously low on hit points, able to be saved with a level 5 Paladin, level 3 Unholy, or level 3 Unholy Light, and now there you go. The Death Knight's in a bit of trouble, getting to level 4, and perhaps another Silence needs to come in. The Fire Lord dangerously low, and down it goes. So this has been about a 3-minute battle, or sorry, a 13-minute battle here at this natural expansion, and it's just been going on and on. The Death Knight needs to escape. Not quite sure why he decided to turn around, and is a Holy Light. Oh, he did not Unholy Light or Holy Light the Death Knight, and the Death Knight able to escape. But once again the Dark Ranger taken down, and now going into Destroyer form. We do see that there is 1 flying machine left behind. I believe the Destroyers could have tried to take down one of those units, and now down goes that flying machine there. The flying machine's finally finishing it off, and now you see that Eclipse is in low upkeep. A bunch of peasants not even doing much at all, and now I guess finally killing off one of his units so that he is no longer in upkeep in order to try to get more and more gold. You can see back over here more peasants are being trained. Perhaps these peasants should just be transferred off to the north. Yeah, peasants are going to get transferred off to the north side of the map in order to mine more gold there. There is this expansion here, but not much is happening there at all. And now that ShimYeYong, he is going to be running low on gold in just a moment. And ShimYeYong cannot hold on to this battle for very much longer. He does have a level 4 Death Knight. He is retraining up a Fire Lord. But that is essentially all he has at this stage. He doesn't have a very large army. He's sitting at I can't tell how much he's sitting at unless I go into the vision. He's sitting at 27 over 60, so that is very, very low. But naturally, the Black Citadel will be able to help fight off against this attack here. And now Animal War Training completed as well, so those Knights are going to have even more hit points. The Anti-Magic Shell now being cast as well, as the Banshees need to start perhaps possessing some of those Knights. By possessing those Knights, they will have a lot of abilities and just be able to swing the battles in favor, as those Banshees are now about halfway to level 3. Once again, we do see Skeletal Minions coming in, perhaps getting additional damage onto those units. The Skeletal Minion timer will just quickly fade away. No real units lost in that battle, as a Scout Tower being placed down here at the natural expansion of ShimYeYong and the Undead player. We are getting more and more Banshees into play. Are we getting... Yes, we are also getting that Dark Ranger. The Dark Ranger will once again be in to cast Silence and perhaps try to slow down the battle. So it's going to be a level 5 Paladin with a level 3 Mountain King, a bunch of Ivory Towers also in play against, with a bunch of Flying Machines and Knights against what I assume to be a bunch of Banshees. That is a decent number of Banshees. 4 Banshees already out. 1 Fire Spawn now looking to perhaps get some damage out in the field. I'm pretty sure that the Fire Spawn is only a level 1 Fire Spawn. Yeah, it's a lava spawn. Only the level 1 version doesn't deal that much damage, but lava spawns are able to get in a lot of damage if they're able to split off multiple times. The gold mine finally collapsing here. So now that gold mine is gone, it's only going to be a matter of a minute or so before this gold mine is gone as well. And the only one that's going to be mining is going to be Eclipse, and Eclipse will definitely be able to win any war of attrition. Wow, a very long game here, 20 minutes into this game already, and still no clear-cut winner in sight in this battle, as workers are now perhaps going to try to establish an expansion here, and this would be a really gutsy move, establishing the expansion here, as there are also a lot of guard towers nearby, the Mountain King also coming in, and we are finally going into a Blood Mage. So the Blood Mage mana battery strategy, as that Blood Mage will be able to banish units and also siphon mana from those critical units here and give mana to the Paladin and that Mountain King. We have plenty of Knights over here. We do see that the Blood Mage is here as well, as the Flying Machine is just trying to make sure that ShimYeYong is just running off of one base. But one base with a whole bunch of Banshees, and now you can see that the gold mine is being unhaunted at this time. If those Banshees actually have enough hit points and survive a long enough fight to turn the tides and grab 4 of those Knights, there is not going to be very much ground armor at all. And let me readjust this. Not going to be very much ground army at all. And then those Paladins, the Blood Mage and that Mountain King are going to be having a very, very difficult time to just try to stay in this game at all, as this game is still going on and with no real clear-cut winner. Very, very not your typical strategies at all. It looks like the Blood Mage and the Mountain King want to get up to a higher level, as the Paladin just coming in, and that Paladin was like, here, let me just try to come in and complete and use my Divine Shield, my 30 seconds of invulnerability. But at the same time, that Paladin was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do against an army of anti-magic shelled units? In comes the units now, and the Mountain King is currently sitting at level 4. All of these towers are going to quickly fall, but the Banshees, also dealing magic damage, should be able to take down multiple of these towers very easily as well. The Banshee is definitely low on hit points here, as the Knights are now going to be coming in, and this is going to be very bad, as all of a sudden possession they're going to be coming into play, and all of the Knights are going to be turned around. So multiple Knights, and now this is going to be a complete 180 in this battle. All 4 Knights taken over, and the army of of Eclipse, who had such a significant lead, now definitely in trouble. And I have to say that ShimYeYong definitely has the advantage in this battle. 48 food for Eclipse versus 57, so that is a definite turnaround there. Eclipse now coming back over here. It looks like these Knights also with anti-magic shell. Not much damage is going to be dealt over here. The Fire Lord also getting some more damage, and now those Knights, forgetting who their true masters are, and also with the Animal War Training, are going to be so difficult to slow down. And Eclipse also going to lose this gold mine here and continue to feed the experience. In comes the Mountain King. Mountain King, the Tri-Hero, now trying to come in. You can see that the Death Knight very low on hit points. He was banished for just a moment. Anti-Magic Shell needs to be recast onto that Death Knight. The Death Knight is in a bit of trouble. And oh, silence. Very nicely done with the Anti-Magic Shell. And that is definitely helping out as the Blood Mage has fallen at level 1. The Mountain King back over here currently regenerating as the Flying Machine's not much of any help at all. The Death Knight needs to perhaps try to get more hit points. And now in comes the Paladin once more. The Paladin looking to get even more damage. And the Paladin unable to keep up with that very fast moving Death Knight though. As that Death Knight just wandering around the map very, very easily. We need to see an obsidian statue perhaps try to unsummon some of these other buildings as that Paladin now currently sitting at level 5 may get surrounded, and this is going to be a very, very dangerous and tricky situation. Oh, using a scroll of town portal at just the last moment in order to save the game. We are now getting siege tanks or siege engines to try to swing the battle already. We are also getting a Griffin Aviary as the units are now making their way over as well, and the Flying Machines do have the bombs now, so they are going to be able to deal some damage towards the main base, and this is going to become a base race as now the Knights of ShimYeYong just completely taking down the peasants, as well as there are still enough banshees to take over the rest of the game. And now you can still see the Flying Machines coming straight in, getting as much damage as they can, trying to take down those critical buildings that are able to fight back. The Acolytes, however, are able to repair some of those buildings, and by repairing those buildings, able to finish off many of those Flying Machines. Flying Machines also getting stopped by creeps over there as this one particular town hall going to get taken down. And wow, this is completely unexpected. The Death Knight still sitting at level 4. A Paladin and a Mountain King unable to fight back in this battle. The Flying Machines now trying to turn around here. No more gold left for ShimYeYong, so all these Acolytes can do is try to peck apart at the siege engine very, very slowly. The Flying Machines are still continuing to get more and more damage here as the Death Knights, Banshees, and even the Dark Rangers sitting at level 3 going to come back and rejoin this army here. The Flying Machines desperately now trying to run away. The siege engines are going to get destroyed. The Flying Machines are also going to take even more damage as well. The siege engine does have fortified armor, but now getting taken down. And now, with plenty of buildings left, Mountain King trying to come back in, and now those units are going to be forced to turn around. Once again, the Knights do move very, very quickly as the Banshees are now once again charging against these units here. Are we going to get perhaps a corruption or anything else onto that Mountain King? Flying Machines looking to perhaps deal some more damage. It doesn't look like they will be able to deal very much at all as the Banshees are now back in play. We do see one Acolyte hiding off over there, and now another Destroyer trying to avoid those Flying Machines. He has to be very, very careful. Oh, he's actually going to try to engage one of those units now down, and now is the Destroyer going to perhaps engage again? No, not going to engage again as the Death Knight sitting at level 4, unable to really keep up this one particular Destroyer. Level 3 Death Coil would be much, much better than level 2 at this stage. We are now seeing, I believe that was a Death... Was that a Death Coil? Yeah, Death Coil onto the Destroyer. The Destroyer now back up to close to maximum hit points as both players are trying to figure out what their long-term and long-term strategies are. You can see that there are still some buildings left here. A Griffin Aviary is up, but with no real way to mine any minerals or mine any gold. It looks like ShimYeYong, who has the larger army at this stage, may have bansheed and possessed his way back into this game and may be able to take the win in just a few more minutes. You can see a slaughterhouse currently being unsummoned, and it looks like this particular gold mine will be haunted once more as both players try to reestablish their bases and try to get back into this. Oh, a Tome of Experience being left behind. Who's it going to get picked up by? The Paladin could pick it up and perhaps gotten to level... Yeah, would have gotten to level 6 for Resurrection. That would not work out all too well, though, as Resurrection isn't going to be that helpful at this stage. The Knights would have been perfect to resurrect, but you cannot resurrect your opponent's units, as the Banshees are now on the move once more. Level 2 Blood Mage, level 4 Mountain King. The Paladin is over here. It is currently getting regenerated by that Staff of Sanctuary. As another Acolyte going to make its way over here and perhaps make sure that there is no expansion going on. This may be a very final fight now. The workshops are going to be in a bit of trouble. Acolytes just waiting for that gold mine to be finished haunting over here as the flying machines now trying to do a base trade. There are only 3 buildings left. So with 3 buildings left, what is going to be happening here as the units, all with anti-magic shell, will be able to absorb a lot of that damage and now perhaps try to get some damage onto those other units here. The knight over here cannot be healed by the death coil, not an undead unit. And once again, casting another corruption onto that paladin. That paladin taking a lot of damage once more, and as it tries to pull away, and the paladin unable to really cast anything during that corruption time, as also a flying machine are trying to finish off these last couple of buildings over here. You can see nothing, no expansion being left behind as another peasant getting taken down, and this game may be essentially become a game of a game or a stalemate. The Fire Lord, as long as he stays nearby, I guess as long as he stays near this one particular haunted gold mine, doesn't have to worry about the flying machines. Oh, we do have one destroyer, and the destroyer does deal a significant amount of damage against those flying machines. Even though flying machines do counter destroyers, destroyers do also deal magic damage as well. As both sides are continuing to make their way across the map, you can see a griffin now trying to make their way out. The griffin going toe-to-toe against a destroyer. Not a fair fight, since the griffin cannot actually fight back. And now the acolytes are now trying to make their way out. The paladin can just uneasily, unholy or holy light, take down multiple units. Another bolt coming in, and acolytes are just falling left and right as the flying machines now going after the graveyards. The main army now coming back. Is it going to be enough? This one particular graveyard, or this one particular, why does it say graveyard? Haunted gold mine is the only one building that can stay around. We do have a necropolis now finally coming into play, as we are now also getting a destroyer making its way across the field. At 31 minutes, this game is about to be over, as I'm believing that that one particular griffin, unable to really get any serious damage at all, is just going to hide off in the shadows there. And this one destroyer could have finished off this one lone peon that is trying to do long-distance mining, going back and forth between the locations. And now with a necropolis and a ziggurat coming into play, and only 2 acolytes haunting, this is going to become very, very difficult. Siphon mana, and now a banish there. Both sides battling it out. The paladin is desperate, dangerously low on hit points once more. The knights are now trying to come in as well. The death knight may be able to get off a death coil or 2. The paladin desperately needs to use there's the potion, or not there's the divine shield battling out once again. The mountain king is taken down. Anti-magic shell on him, so he was still able to absorb a lot of that damage. And Eclipse says, well played. So there's essentially the GG, as Eclipse loses this 31-minute battle here on Terenas stand. Eclipse having the higher score, but ultimately losing because of those possessed or the possession on those banshees. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this rather long 1v1 replay between Eclipse and ShimYeYong here on Terenas stand.